to back to some general ayat to wrap up the lessons and the message of this surah. We started the recitation, we took a couple ayats back, we stepped a couple ayats back, and we remembered the time when Prophet Yaqub and his sons returned to Egypt, right? And saw Yusuf. And Yusuf ﷺ takes his parents close to him. He gives them a home, he gives them a place of refuge, he gives them a place of comfort. You know, we remember that these 7 years that his brothers had been coming to him every once in a while, trying to get food and everything that their family needed, that they must have been living in the desert as Bedouins in a very tough situation, right? Because those 7 years, Egypt, as a civilization, was able to save up enough food for itself, but others outside were struggling with the drought and the lack of harvest and the lack of food. And so when Prophet Yusuf brings his family to him, that is them actually again going from a very difficult situation to a comfortable situation. Being Bedouins and struggling and trying to make ends meet and sending their sons to the city in Egypt to be able to come back with food for them. Now they are in not only in a different place that there's food, Egypt has food and has plenty for everybody, but also the son Yusuf ﷺ is in a place of power and prestige, and he's part of the government, right? He's a minister. And so his family comes to a very good place. And so subhanAllah, Allah's hikmah, his wisdom for the length of the story of Sayyidina Yusuf, and how subhanAllah, he goes through so much and then he brings his family to him in comfort. And his father had gone through so much grief, but when he finally comes back united with his son Yusuf and his son Binyamin, it's not just any regular unity, but it's also unity of goodness and plenty and comfort and everything that they needed. So subhanAllah, what Allah has planned. And so Yusuf says in ayah 100, he says, "Oh Allah, he says to his father, oh my father, this is the coming true of the dream that I had seen," right? And Allah has been so good to me. Allah has ahsan ali. You know how we talked a lot about Sayyidina Yusuf being from the muhsineen? You know, this same word ihsan is used. Allah has been so good to me, so excellent to me, that He has taken me out of the sijn, outside of the jail, and then He brought you to me from the bedu, from the desert out there. After He had put naza shaitan bayna, He put like this the shaitan came between me and my brothers. And so you see in Prophet Yusuf how simple he is, how pure his art is, qalbun salim. Like he doesn't hold grudges. He doesn't, he tries to see the best in everything. And he tries to see make the big really big, the good really big, and the difficulty that happened to him very small. There was, the shaitan came between me and my brothers. Like that's it. But look, Allah has taken you out of the jail and He's brought you all to me. And so, always having that positive, thought of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and always thinking of the graces of Allah upon as so magnificent, versus some of the difficulties that we go through, right? And this is the beauty again of the heart and mind and soul of Sayyidina Yusuf, right? How good he was, how pure and how positive in everything that he did. And he says, very Rabbi Latifun lima yasha. Allah is so good and to whom He wills. Like look how wonderful Allah has been to me. It's almost if you kind of imagine his parents are with him now, his father is with him, and he's just kind of reminiscing on his life. But he's telling his father his life in a very positive way. He doesn't tell him, oh, my father, you should have seen, how I felt when I was in the well, and then I had to live for many years in this house with Aziz, and his wife was a very terrible person, and then I ended up in the jail even though I didn't deserve it, and my friend even forgot about me, and I ended up in the jail for a few more years. He could have told his story in that way. He could have, right? But he says his story in such a positive way, right? And he sees the good and he sees the lutf of Allah, Allah's love for him and Allah's protection of him, and Allah making things easy for him, more bigger in his mind than all the difficulty that he went through. And this is something, again, we learn from Yusuf. Try to see the positive and try to make the positive as big as possible. And don't dwell on the negative, because when you dwell on it, it just grows and it overtakes you, right? And again, like we mentioned last time, it stalls you, it stops you from growth. It stops you from success, because it just overwhelms you and overtakes you. But the positive keeps you moving forward, right? And keeps you energized. And this is the beauty of Prophet Yusuf, seeing that, telling his father his story. Allah took me out of the jail and he brought you to me, and he was so latif, he made things so easy for me. Innahu huwa al-alim al-hakim. Verily Allah is all knowing and he is all wise. Right? There was wisdom in why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put me through this, and I am sure it was good for me. And I do not blame Allah. I do not ask why. I know that Allah knows why, and Allah is wise in why this happened to me, and I have accepted it, right? And again, Prophet Yusuf is attributing all his goodness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he says, "Oh my Lord." Now first he's talking to his father, and then Yusuf turns and says, "Rabbi, oh my Rabb, oh my Lord, you have given me mulk, you have given me kingdomship." He wasn't necessarily a king, but he's given him, mulk also means ownership, right? To own something. When somebody yamluk shay, he owns it. So you have given me ownership. You have given me ownership over the finances of Egypt. You have given me, I own things now. He has become, he has position now in the government. So look, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he remembers what he has given him. He doesn't remember that I've lost my years with my family, that I lost my childhood, that I was away. He says, "Oh Allah, look what you have given me. You have given me ownership. You have given me allamtani. You have given me knowledge, right? That I can ta'wil ahadith basically is when people see dreams, I can explain dreams, right? That I can explain dreams or read dreams to people. So you have given me the special knowledge." So again, Prophet Yusuf knowing that, reminding himself of all, listing the things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him. Right? He says, "Oh Allah, you have given me this, you have given me that, you have blessed me with this, you have blessed me with this skill." And he mentions things that Allah has given him for it that are things that are mulk, like things that you own, right? And then also skills that he has. So when you sit between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you want to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a beautiful time to thank Allah. We're coming to the end of the Hijri year, right? In a few days, it's going to be Muharram. We're coming to the end of Dhul-Hijjah, and we're going to the new year, in Islamic New Year. And it's time for us, subhanAllah, to take these days to do a lot of hamd, right? Oh Allah, I thank you. I thank you for taking me through this year. I thank you and reminisce about, oh Allah, over the past year, you've blessed me with this. I've been able to gain this knowledge. I've been able to make this new friend. I've been able to learn this new thing. I've been able to excel at my... List to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Say, oh Allah, I am aware of what you have given me, and I thank you, oh Allah, as my Hijri year comes to a wrap, right? And remember these things, list these things, and you will realize when you start listing that you can go on, and then you'll say, oh Allah, I can't, what you have given me is more than, right? La tahsu. If you try to count the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will never be able to count them. So this is what Yusuf is doing. Oh Allah, you have given me knowledge. You have given me kingdomship. Oh Allah, you are the owner of the heavens and the earth. You are the creator of the heavens. Fatir as-samawati wal-ard. You are the one who made the heavens and the earth. So what you gave me, I know is very easy for you. Right? It's yani, subhanAllah, oh Allah, knowing, understanding Allah's majesty. Right? Yusuf is understanding Allah's, you are the one that owns all this. You are the one that created all of this. You are the one that can say, be and it is, kun fayakun. And oh Allah, I am aware of this. Tawaffani musliman wa alhaqni bis salihin. Oh Allah, make sure that I die as a Muslim, as one who submits to you, right? One who submits my will to you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and make me join the salihin. Make me meet up in the akhirah with those who are righteous. Hopefully, Al-Hiqni, like, maybe I don't deserve to be with them, but let me be with them, oh Allah. Right? Let me die a Muslim and let me join the Salihin. This is what Yusuf. So we learned from Yusuf alayhi salam a methodology of making dua. Right? First, he starts by saying, oh Allah, I am aware of everything that you have given. Oh Allah, I thank you for everything you have given me. Oh Allah, I cannot even mention everything that you have given me. And I know you, oh Allah, that you are the creator of the heavens and the earth. So we can take this method of making dua from this. Remember, tell Allah, I am aware of what you have given me. Then tell Allah, I know who you are. La ilaha illa ant. Right? You are the creator of the heavens and the earth. You are the one that is capable of all things. You, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, call Allah with His names. Right? You are the Khaliq. Right? You are the, so remember the majesty of Allah. And then the last part of your dua is to actually, and now, oh Allah, I ask you for this. Right? Yusuf asks for making sure that he dies as a submitter to one God and hoping that he will meet the Salihin, the righteous ones. Right? So this is a beautiful way to make dua, as Yusuf teaches us. Right? توفني مسلما والحقني بالصالحين. Okay? والحقني, the ha is مقصورة. توفني مسلما والحقني بالصالحين. Then this is the very ending of Prophet Yusuf's story. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts going into very general ayat. He talks about ذَلِكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الْغَيْبِ نُحِيهِ إِلَيْكَ. This is from the unknown that we have given you wahy, right? We've revealed to you. Oh, so now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling Prophet Muhammad salam, this is the story that we're telling you something that you didn't know, you've never heard of before, you never learned it from anybody, but we've told you about it. We've told you about it for a purpose, right? And the purpose is that you learn from those who come before you, right? And that you seek comfort in those who come before you. These are the next ayat where Allah says, this is why we're telling you this story. Learn from Yusuf. Learn from what he went through. Know that you're going to be okay, just like Yusuf was okay. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in these remaining ayats, as we go on the last page of the surah, that there are people who pass in the path of those who came before them. In the time, the Quraysh, when they would travel, they would sometimes go past where Thamud had been and different tribes had been that had been destroyed. But they took no lesson from it. They took no lesson from it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling Prophet Muhammad that we should learn from these stories. And when these stories come our way, we should take awareness from them, right? And be more cognizant and aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from these stories. This is what Allah is telling him. And then, subhanAllah, we go to the ayah which is number 108, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling Prophet Muhammad, basically is telling him, stick your ground, right? He's telling him, stick your ground, but he's telling him in a way, in say to yourself, قُلْ, say, هَذِهِ سَبِيلِ, this is my way. Say to your people who are torturing you and giving you a hard time, you've lost your beloved wife, you've lost your uncle, now your tribe is like, now he has no protection. It's everything is loose now. We can throw, he'd go to pray. Remember Fatima when she cried over her father because he was praying at the Kaaba and they threw they slaughtered an animal and they took the inside of it and threw it on his back. He would walk out of his house, there would be trash and thorns, and they realized he no longer had protection and they could give him even a harder time, right? So at this moment, remember when we said at the beginning of the surah, Prophet Muhammad was going through a very low time, and he was waiting for Allah's nasr. He was waiting victory. He was waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel. He was waiting for a sign that things are going to be okay. He went all the way to, where did he go? Ta'if. We know what the Ta'if people did to him. The people of Ta'if did to him, right? And so when this story of Surah Yusuf is revealed to him, this is what he's thinking about. And so Allah is telling him, tell these people that are trying to push you as far as they can to turn you away from your call, from your path. This is my path. This is sabili. This is my way. Remember Yusuf? Didn't we learn from him? He didn't let anything take him off his way. His father had taught him, and he knew that he was supposed to be a great man, a decent man, an honorable man, right? And that nothing that came his way, the fitna of being in the house with all those women, the fitna of being with criminals, the test of being away from anybody that could judge him, he could do whatever he wanted, but nothing is going to take him from his sabil. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling Prophet Muhammad, say, this is my path, and I call to Allah. Ad'u ila Allah. قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ. This is my way, I call to Allah. This is who I am. My path and my way is calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reminding people of La ilaha illallah, reminding them that Allah is the only one worthy of your worship, reminding them that there will be a day where you will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you are going to have to answer for everything that you're doing, every choice that you're making, right? And so this is actually something that we can learn from Prophet Yusuf and from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching to Prophet Muhammad, that you say to yourself, this is my way, this is my faith, this is how I dress, this is how I carry myself, this is how I pray, this is what I believe is right, this is what I know is wrong, this is my way. I can call you to it, I can share it with you, right? I wish that you would become a believer with me because I want your salvation as much as I want mine. Prophet Muhammad wished that every single one of his family members and everybody he knew, he would worry about them and cry over them. When are they going to believe? But this is my way, right? And so you have, every morning, subhanAllah, you can say this, say to yourself, remind yourself, this is my way. I will face a lot of people who will question me, and who will make me even start to try to make my faith in God, shake it up. A lot of times when you hit university, first year of college, that can be and second year, that can be a very difficult time in which, you know, the philosophy and the idea of does God exist and why do you worship God, and, you know, is it, you know, everybody is responsible for their own, and, you know, whatever makes you happy, you do it. And these ideas are very, very prevalent in higher education. And you have to remind yourself as you walk through the halls of your schools and colleges, and as you face these kind of challenges in your classes, this is my way. This is what I believe. This is what I'm sure of. This is how I carry myself. This is my akhlaq. This is what I know is wrong. And as much as you bombard me, Allah said it's wrong, that means it's wrong. And this is what I know is right. And as much as you question me, I have yaqeen, right? قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ. I call to Allah. And I call to Allah ala basira. I am very convinced of all of this. And so when you carry yourselves as young people in this country, you have to make sure that you're on basira. If there's ever a time that you doubt or you want to understand, I don't want to say doubt, because we believe this is what Allah taught. So, but we want to understand it. Do we have the right to understand? We do. Who taught us that we have the right to understand? Prophet who? Huh? Prophet Muhammad. Okay, through what? Through what story? There's another example. Who taught us that we have the right to understand? Who is the father of the prophets? Ibrahim alayhi salam. What story do we have in the Quran in which Ibrahim taught us that we have the right to understand? Anas? No, he didn't ask if he could see Allah. Where did he ask? Exactly. The concept of life and death. You know, Prophet Ibrahim never doubted Allah's power. He had no doubt. But he wanted to understand. Right? He didn't question. But he wanted. And Prophet Ibrahim, Khalilullah, you know, the closest one to Allah, the most pious of prophets, along with Muhammad and the Anbiya, he said, oh Allah, show me. I just want to understand. So Allah told him, you know, you want to see how we bring life and death? Take 4 birds and put them into pieces and mix them up and put different birds, and, you know, and so subhanallah, you have the right to understand. Allah Basirim, you have come and ask the shuyukh that you learn with, your parents, if they have knowledge. Sheikh Imam Abu Saif is always here available for you. And you know what? If anybody tells you, if you go and ask somebody and they tell you, why are you asking? You have no right. This is it. This is the way it is. Allah said that means it's okay. No, I just don't want to understand. I will find somebody else that will explain to me. Their response is wrong. Your question is wrong. Your desire to understand is not wrong. So always tell yourself, I do not doubt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I do not doubt that what He says is right, and what He says is wrong, but I want to understand. And I will find somebody who's more learned who will explain to me. Right? And so you want to be, because we are not a nation that follows blind. We are not a nation that follows blindly. That is not Islam. We are a nation that the first thing that said to us, iqra, read, understand, have knowledge, study. And even Allah says, those in the surah, in the Quran says, those who know the science of the earth, those who know things, right? Those who have knowledge, al-ulama, they are the ones that most have khushu' of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? If you have, the more knowledge you gain, the more ability you have, humility of Allah's greatness and humility of Allah's power and what Allah has given us and what Allah is capable of, right? And so your desire to know, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my desire to understand something is because I want to get closer to you. Because when I don't understand, I'm a little bit confused. And the shaitan can come to me and maybe try to skew me off my path because I'm starting to question, right? So, oh Allah, my desire to understand why this thing is wrong is because I want to be closer to you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide you to somebody who will give you an answer. That will give your heart rest. That will rest your heart. Just like Ibrahim found comfort in his heart when Allah showed him the birds come back to life. So, remember, this is your path. This is your way. This is your faith. You call others to it as best as you can with your akhlaq, just like Yusuf did. Right? People knew he was muhsin before he said, oh, I believe la ilaha illallah. He called people to him. He brought people close to him. He made people love him just by his character. And then he could tell them about his faith. Right? I call you to my faith, and I call with knowledge, and I will never be from among those who associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Do we today, let's talk about the concept of shirk. As Muslims today, can we have shirk? How? How? Okay, that's kind of like, yeah, like you're kind of showing off so others can say, oh, look, mashallah, look at this person's prayer, look at this person's qur'an, look at this person's, donations that he makes. So it's a minor shirk. I like good. There's who else wants to add? So, yeah. Exactly. There is a shirk that we can fall into, and we have to be very aware of it. As Muslims, we're not gonna, most likely start becoming worshippers of idols anytime soon, right? Or worshippers of other individuals necessarily. But sometimes your own nafs, your hawa, becomes your Lord. And that is a type of shirk. This is what I want to do. And this is what makes me feel good. And even if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells me it's wrong, I know it's wrong, I don't understand why it's wrong. I think there's nothing wrong with it, right? And you start to you think that your intelligence is more than what Allah knows for you. And Allah is the one that created you and put you in this earth. And He knows what is best for you. And so that shirk happens when you put your desires and your hawa and you do what you want against and displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, against, do things that displease Allah. That is a type of shirk. That's making yourself more important than Allah. Does that make sense? And so be aware of that all the time. My desires, I will never be from among the mushrikeen, because I will never let what makes me feel good and what I want to do make me do things that Allah does not want me to do and Allah tells me is not good for me. Right? So this is the type of shirk that can really, we have to be aware of in our time and age. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then tells Prophet Muhammad in ayah 109, O our Prophet, we have sent before you messengers, right? And to them came revelation, as revelation comes to you, right? Don't they go in the earth and see the signs of the prophets that came before them? So, oh, Prophet Muhammad, what is Allah telling him? You're not the first one. You're not the first one that's going through this test. You're not the first one that's going through this path. You're not the first one that's receiving a revelation. You're not the first one that's being tested and challenged by your people, right? There have those who come before you who have gone through the same that you're going through. Yusuf was one example. But there are, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He tells us stories of so many other prophets and what they went through, right? They came before you. Look around in the earth and learn about the tests and the results of those that came before you, right? How were they punished, or what did they face? What was the end result of them disbelieving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Learn from that. Allah says to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what does it say in Ayah 109, Sadid? You always read the English for us. 109, yes. Oh no, 110, in English, yeah.
Until when the messengers lost all hope and realized that they were deceived liars, our help came to them. So we saved whom we willed, and our punishment cannot be averted from the wicked.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is again, remember in the beginning, the very first day we talked about how Surah Yusuf is a way of comfort for Prophet Muhammad. This ayah, as we wrap up the second last ayah, Allah is telling him that. He's telling him that there are prophets who came before you and their tests got so difficult and they felt so like where is the nasr of Allah, that they were starting to, it just became very, very difficult, right? Allah says, إِذَا اسْتَيْأَسَ الرُّسُلُ. They just were getting to the end of the rope. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings to them goodness. He shows them the end, He brings to them nasr, right? جاءهم نصرنا. To them came our victory. Our victory finally came to them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling our Prophet Muhammad that the prophets came before you, they felt exactly like you felt, but our victory came to them as our victory will come to you. Eventually. Things are going to change. And very soon after, we know what happened very soon after. It wasn't much later that, what happened? Yes, that in the next Hajj is when the people of Medina came, and there was the Bayt al-Aqaba al-Ula, and then a year later Bayt al-Aqaba, then the second one, and the Hijrah, the process of him finding people who accept him happened very soon after, right? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he would, after when the Hajj time, when the different tribes would come to because there was Hajj time of Jahiliyyah, but they did Hajj very differently than us, right? It was a very obscure kind of Hajj. But they would come to Mecca and there would be a business and there would be people, there would be tribes. He would go amongst them and try to call them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he would go amongst them and try to find people that would accept him. Ta'if didn't accept him. Mecca was no longer accepting him. And very soon after the surah is when he finds the people of Medina. At that time it was called, what was it called at that time? Yathrib, right? The people of Yathrib coming for their Hajj, and he starts to talk to them, and they open their hearts to him, and they make a bay'ah, they make a treaty with him that they will protect him. He sends with them. Who does he send with them? Who does he send? Mus'ab ibn Umayr. He sends Mus'ab ibn Umayr with them. He brings Islam to Yathrib. They come back for the second oath, right? The second Bayt al-Aqaba, and then the Hijrah starts. The Sahaba start leaving, and their families start leaving, and Prophet Muhammad and Abu Bakr were among the very last ones, right? They stayed until the end. But then, when Prophet Muhammad felt that he was so down and didn't know where to go, and then Surah Yusuf was revealed to him, and then thereafter, paths, doors start to open in front of him. So know that when you are feel that you're in the pit, the bottom of the well, like Prophet Yusuf was at, he was at the bottom of that this is the moment, usually, when you get to that low point, if you maintain your faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you maintain your connection to him, and your yaqeen in him that he's going to find a way out for you, right? And you're hoping Him, you never lose hope. We talked about hope. We talked about certainty. We talked about staying clear, that it doesn't matter how dark the pit is. I know who I am and what I stand for, and all this is not going to affect me. Then at that moment, subhanAllah, usually, as the prophets teach us in their stories, that's Allah's testing you. That's when then everything, all of a sudden, doors start to open and you see light at the end of the tunnel and you see Allah's ni'mah upon you. And when that happens, as happened to Sayyidina Yusuf, you need to learn to forget the difficult times. You need to learn lessons from them, yes, but don't dwell on them. Dwell on, look what Allah has given me now. Look where I was and look where I am. Right? And this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying to His Prophet that the prophets before you came to a very, very difficult space, but we gave them victory. And you are now in a very, very difficult space. Victory will come soon to you, inshallah. And in the very last ayah, alhamdulillah, we got to the very last ayah. Allah says, in these stories, there are ibar, there are lessons to be learned, right? For the ulul albab, for those of understanding. Not anybody is going to get these lessons. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us not only the story of Sayyidina Yusuf, but Allah mentions in the ayat before that there are prophets that came before you. And if you study the history of civilization, you'll learn lessons from those who came before you. So Allah is saying these stories, in them are lessons for those who have understanding. They try to reflect. They try to look further, right? And this is exactly what we have tried to do in the past 7 sessions. We have taken Prophet Yusuf's story and not looked at it from a very superficial level, but we were trying to take this qissa, the story, and take ibar from it, right? And hopefully, may Allah accept us, be from among ulul albab, right? Those who want to have deep understanding, those who desire to have deep, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then blesses them to have understanding and blesses them to have wisdom in the stories He has given us. So inshallah, this is coming to the end of our tafsir. I want you, inshallah, to challenge yourself and to promise yourself that as you read the Mus'haf, right, regularly, hopefully every day, when a story comes by you, or a part of a story of Sayyidina Musa, a part of Sayyidina Ibrahim, what happened to Yunus, what happened to Lut, you stop and you say, what is the ibrah for me? Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make sure that this part of the story is saved until the end of time, right? Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make sure that that part of the youth of the Kahf, every time you read on Jum'ah, what does Allah want me to learn from them? Every week, what does Allah want me to learn from them? One week, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may dawn upon you this amazing thing that, subhanAllah, this youth, I learned this. Next week, you might, or in a month later, you might see something else. What am I supposed to learn from Dhul Qarnayn? What am I supposed to learn from the story of Musa? Right? Stop and ponder so that you can take ibrah from the stories, because that's what they're there for. And if we don't allow ourselves to take lessons from Allah's story in the Quran, then we have, remember in the very beginning I told you about, we're saying that that people who have forsaken the Mus'haf, what's the ayah? I fear for that, but my nation will forsake the Mus'haf. It's like some people believe that it's like we leave it on the shelf to collect dust, but that's not necessarily the meaning. I'm trying to remember the Arabic. The meaning is more about we can actually pick up the Mus'haf and read it and whatever, but we read it, it has no effect on us. It doesn't change our akhlaq. It doesn't affect our khushu'. It doesn't help us make decisions. It doesn't help us deal with other people. Then it's like there's no purpose to it, really. And there at that point, when this Quran does not affect our lives, does not affect our decisions, how we think, how we act, how we face the world around us, then we have forsaken this Mus'haf. That we no longer understand the purpose of it. We no longer understand why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent us wahy and why He's protecting this wahy until the end of time for us. Every single word, every single letter, every single story, it is in this Mus'haf for a reason, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose it. He could have chosen, there's millions of years of history, but He chose these parts of history to let us know about. Because there's something about it that's going to carry us and strengthen us and support us until we face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So this is what Allah is saying in this ayah. In these stories, there are lessons, right? And they're for those who want to find those lessons. This book that is coming to you, O Prophet Muhammad, is a confirmation of what came before it. It's a detail of everything that needs to be detailed, and it is hudan wa rahmatan liqawmin yu'minun. It is guidance and mercy for those who believe. The last ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concludes the surah reminding of us about this Quran, about this wahy, about these words of Allah, what I was just telling you. That this is a guidance, it's a huda, a way of life, and there's a mercy. You know, sometimes you're going through, like you're trying to make a decision, you're going through a difficult time, you're wondering you should go this way or that way, and you sit down to read the Quran. For subhanallah, the ayah that you land on or the page that you land on, it's like Allah is telling me right here. If you enter that moment with the intention that, oh Allah, I need that answer from you, right? And you pray 2 rak'ahs and you read from the Mus'haf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you an answer. He will allow you to understand. He will allow you to see something, right? And He will give you comfort, rahmah, and mercy, right? In the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find peace and comfort. And this is the end of Surah Yusuf and what we learn from him, right? We learn from him that there is always victory, that there is always good. Focus on the good and it will come. Don't dwell on the difficulty. We learn from him to carry yourself with grace and honor and respect and high akhlaq, regardless of the test that you're going through, regardless of your difficulties, right? What else do we learn at the end? Or what else did you learn from this surah? I want you guys to share with me. We have about 15 minutes. We've wrapped up. We've come full circle, right? This is next class, Wednesday. Are you going to be sad, Anas? We've got one more class. Our next class on Wednesday is actually, you know, your father usually, the other shuyukh, do they have assessments? Do they quiz you or test you? They're supposed to, right? So I'm gonna assess you over some sort of, I'm gonna try to play with Kahoot and have a game for like the whole, like make sure you guys bring your phones or whatever. I'm gonna find a way for us to kind of review the whole surah and kind of have a assessment, but in a fun way. Okay, inshallah, that's next Wednesday. So this is our last tafsir, right? What is it? It's no testing. I told you it's a Kahoot game.
No, I'm terrible.
You're still terrible?
Even I know it.
You're going to choose the wrong thing because you like question yourself. So if anybody has any, share with me your reflections. Go ahead, Anas.
Was there ever a time where there was 2 prophets at the same time?
For sure. Who tells people to tell me one more than one situation where there's 2 prophets? Who's going to tell me? Let's list them. Go ahead, ask. And Lut, very good. Yeah, Ibrahim and Lut were nephews, right? Prophet Yusuf and his dad. Who else? Yes, Yaqub and Yusuf. Who else? Musa and Harun. Yes, were around the same time. Who else? Yusuf. If you thought for a minute, you'd remember. I'm sure Anas, you'd know. Go ahead, Yusuf. Zakaria and Yahya, very good. And Yahya and Isa alayhi salam. They walked the earth at the same time. So there was many situations in which more than one prophet was on earth at the same time. And those are the ones that we know. We know from Allah mentions in the Quran that the people of Bani Israel, between the time of Yusuf and Musa, there were, and after Musa even, between Musa and Isa, there were multiple times where they had multiple prophets with them. And they would, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tried to send them more than one prophet, yes. Like, for example, Isa and Yahya, yeah. So there are times where there was more than one prophet at one time. Tala, do you have a question? Okay, I thought you were raising your hand. Who else has a question or reflection on the surah? What's like, if you could say this is the one thing I'm going to walk away from Surah Yusuf.
So we're going over like ayah 108 when it's time to talk about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was reaffirming
Mhm.
And those were like this I felt like it was like showing Allah God's love for his prophets and like his mercy for his prophets, and then since the Quran is like supposed to be for all of us, it's also like a little message towards us too.
SubhanAllah. Exactly. Alhamdulillah, jazakallah khairan, ربنا يبارك فيكي. Sadil.
I just had a comment for something I wanted to say before, but I don't know which class I got this from, but it was about like when you guys were talking about like the little shift to have you don't know what to do, but it was yeah. That's when you were talking. No, I'm talking about something. No, because I learned that Allah like. What's it called? Every time like you see that like you don't have like a new life and stuff, one teacher reminded me, they're like, oh, just remember that there's already a kid like you, but you're not gonna have it that like So I was like, that's something that really is hard because it's like we're struggling for a reason. And it's not even a struggle, we're just like our minds can't process the fact that there is a kid out there that we're just not seeing.
Yeah.
So that's why he was saying like the film of the Quran, that it kind of like all comes together.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you, Sadil. ربنا يبارك فيكي. Yara, you had your hand up, right?
Yeah, one question I have, I know this is like cliche, but sometimes you hear a lot like looking at things last half full, or you like far enough in this verse and things and how like I never really thought that or put it into perspective. He just went through something that no one would ever bear. He came out of it like talking about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like granted him greatness and all that. And it's just crazy because sometimes individuals or whatever like go through so much hardships, but like whenever we get asked about that, we're like, yeah, it was really hard, it was really tough, but we never take a moment to reflect about how much like even if it was hardship, Allah puts in that hardship for a reason and at a certain place that he wants us to put us in. So I think that's just really cool. And like how it's sometimes I always feel like looking at things glass half full is like a Western idea somewhere out of us, but it's in the Quran. So
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Focus on what's there versus what's not there. What you have, not what you missed. SubhanAllah. Because you didn't miss it. It just wasn't meant to be. It wasn't written for you. Go ahead.
this is like my third tafsir of Surah and every single time that you listen to a new the same ayah, you listen to introduction on it, every single person has input on it. And we learn from even there's a saying that a scholar could spend his whole life on one ayah and not derive every single miracle and every single
Meaning. Yeah. And this is the beauty of the Quran. We're meant to approach it as individuals. There was a time in Islamic history, or the history of the Muslims, that people made the Quran like it's only for the scholars. They're going to tell us how to approach it, and they're going to read it for us, and they're going to do tafsir for us. But that made the masses of the people disassociate with the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we're actually right now, in the past 100 years or so, going back into the masses of the people, looking at, taking the Quran and saying, this was meant for me. Nobody, like, I can learn from the Mufassirin, I can see these lessons from them, I'd like to hear from them, but also I need to pick it up myself and let it touch my heart and let myself reflect on it. Saying that every single individual can look at the Quran and can look at an ayah, we can read a surah together, and how it hits me and what it teaches me is different how what it teaches you, and we're all right, as long as it's not outside of the folds of the Aqidah, right? We're all right. So being able to actually allow yourself to say, these different people, and including myself, and actually going to your shaykh or your imams or your parents or your teachers and saying, like, I read this ayah and it meant this to me, what do you think? And he'll say, yeah, and he'll add to it. Or he'll tell you, maybe you should look at it from this way. Allow yourself to have that. Don't ever think, I'm too young, or I don't have enough knowledge, I'm not a scholar, No, allow yourself to have a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words. They're His words to you individually, right? Let yourself ponder upon them and let yourself love them and let yourself see the mercy in them, right? Because that's when they're going to change your life. I'm going to say you're Jannah. Turn it into good or turn it into bad. That's a very, very, it's not for us at all. And then people go to like, when social media first happened in the World Wide Web. Like I remember when the internet was first starting. Like I remember there was days when I was younger that we didn't have computers and we didn't have internet, and the internet came, and there was the scholars of Islam question, is this evil thing that's gonna? But then others would say no. If you take this thing, this technology, and use it for good, then you could spread Islam, through it. And if you use it for bad, well, you've used it to do bad. Just like this coming. So the object, it depends on how we as human beings, this is actually the test for us, the object. How are we going to use it to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or are we going to use it to displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? Yeah.
I always feel like that return to like, my father and like Allah on the airplane and like slowly like I like that comparison because you don't know like Allah is what you use trust in him even whenever like you're like in the vision.
Or when you want something really badly, like you really want that flower, you think this is the best thing for you. And if Allah doesn't give it to you, and if you don't allow yourself to realize that this other thing that I have or came my way was actually better for me than the thing I wanted. Right? And that's why, subhanAllah, when you ever make istikharat, when you ask Allah to guide you toward a decision, don't ask, oh Allah, please give this to me. Don't say that. Oh Allah, I really want this. That's not the way you should make dua. You should say, oh Allah, if this thing that I really desire is good for me, let it happen. Let it go smoothly and let it happen for me. And if this thing that I really want is actually bad for me and I don't know, or you have something better for me, subhanahu wa ta'ala, let my heart kind of leave this thing behind, not be so attached to it, and give me the thing that's better for me and show me how that thing is actually better for me. So always ask Allah, oh Allah, know what's better. This thing, don't ask Allah for something, maybe not, because you don't know if it's actually the thing that's best for you. Yeah, so this is a good message. Brothers, do you have anything to add? No? You're good, Anas?
I think like the best thing about this class was when you introduced like the idea of the difference between masalih and
Oh, good. Okay, mashallah, good. You want to tell us, remind the girls, they might have forgotten.
You said that masalih is just the righteous person like that to themselves. So a masalih is someone who like they take that and they want to fix what's around them.
And the higher level is the muslih, right? The muslih is above the salih, because the muslih is like the prophets. The prophets didn't just sit there and worship and make their connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, they worshipped in the middle of the night, right? Okay? And then during the day they were out there calling people to faith and building and civilization and saying this is right and saying this is wrong. They were fixing their tribes, right? And they were fixing the things around them. So the muslih is in the path of the prophets, first of all, right? And it is a higher level of faith. You take your faith and you apply it. So it's beautiful. That's a very good one. Salih and the Muslih. Jazakallah khairan, Anas. Sadi. Before this surah. Yes. Yes. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan. Yes, for sure. After the people of Egypt had been so, bad to him, when he was in the house of Aziz and being in the jail and whatever, he still took his responsibility of, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me a gift, the ability to serve the people and make sure they don't go hungry. This is my responsibility. I can walk away from it and go and be with my father and my family, but no, I have a responsibility. His sense of responsibility, his sense of islah is very, very strong. Prophet Yusuf. Okay? Jazakumullah khairan. I will miss all of you. I will miss learning with you and amongst you. Forgive me if anything that I said was wrong. It is from my shortcomings, because I am not a scholar like Imam Husayf or the other scholars that come before you. I'm somebody just like you who's trying to learn and learning to love through the Quran, through the stories of the prophets. I hope that I'll have the opportunity to learn with you again, inshallah, in the future. Anything that I said that's good is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May He reward you from learning from me and from me for being able to bring it to you. Forgive me for my Arabic, mashallah. Some of you guys, your recitation is amazing. This is something that I have to work on because, I enjoyed listening to you, and the Arabic is my weakness. And so, inshallah, that's something that I'm gonna. But again, subhanAllah, there are those of you in the room also. The Arabic is your challenge. Don't let it stop you from reflecting on the Quran. Don't let it stop you from reading slowly, rereading an ayah over and over, trying to understand it. Right? Don't let it stop you. It should be something that encourages you to become better and to make a better connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His Mus'haf. So jazakumullah khairan. It's time for Isha. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal 'asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Jazakumullah khairan. We'll see you guys on Wednesday, inshallah. Study. You each should have your notes. You never got one? You can have mine. No problem. And I will actually send the PDF of those notes on the WhatsApp group, Anas. So if you guys have anybody has lost their notes, I'll send it on WhatsApp notes. So review, and inshallah next time we'll do something fun to kind of review the whole surah together. Okay? Jazakallah khairan.